On May the 24th, 2006, lightning struck the Ontario Government Building in Red Lake, Ontario.
The probability of getting hit by lightning is pretty slim, but we did.
Never thought the building would catch fire. Who'd think? A brick building, metal roof, what could possibly happen?
It's something you don't think is going to happen.
And then we started to see a little bit of smoke. I think it was a lot of shock and disbelief as to what we were actually seeing.
The staff rallied, my management team really rallied, and we've recovered 100%.
I was working in my office. There was a storm passing through.
And this one cloud was coming in. It was very black and ominous. And we looked at it, and then all of a sudden...
Wow, that almost gave me a heart attack.
The lights flickered, computers flickered. You know, nothing unusual for a thunderstorm coming through Red Lake.
Smelled a bit of smoke. Didn't think too much of it at the beginning because there's often a number of smells that get sucked in from outside.
And at that point, there was a little whiff of smoke coming out of the wall. So I called out to Miles Perchuk, who was walking in the hall to pull the fire alarm, which he did.
And I can tell you, it's just an incredibly good feeling that the evacuation plan worked 100%, and that you were, certain that everybody was out of the building. So that was definitely one of the good things that happened.
Pager went off. Our firefighters are here within 2-3 minutes. Immediately into the back of the pumper, donning BAs.
By the time the call was put in, we were actually on site at 6 minutes with the pumper, the command post, and 8 firefighters.
Probably within 15 minutes, the whole attic roof area of the whole building was, I would say, fully involved.
I had a call from our fire chief, Joe Blazik, and he told me that lightning had hit the M&R building, the Government Services building, and that it was a very bad fire. We went down and investigated it with the chief, and you could see that the building was getting engulfed in flames, so it looked like it was going to be a total loss.
In previous years, we'd always talked that if something ever happened to their building downtown, that they would move to this building. So we had a preliminary plan in place.
We agreed to meet with our management team at 3 o'clock out at the fire management headquarters.
The one thing I noticed when I was talking to Graham and the rest of the staff was they had nothing with them. They had left the building and had taken absolutely nothing with them because I think they thought that this was just another fire drill or they were going to be out of the building for a few minutes and they'd be right back into it.
The simplest things seemed to be the greatest challenge, whether it was buying a chair, buying a table, buying a filing cabinet, finding a pencil.
Our initial focus, I guess, was just to get our feet under us, figure out what it was we had to do, and Jeff had things rolling incredibly. We had some paper, we had all of the office supplies that we needed. He had allocated space in that building for our team already.
Someone during that time talked and mentioned the fact that would incident command system, ICS system, work in this situation.
We used the incident command structure to put some structure around what it was we had to do. For example, Cindy Moncrief, our sports services supervisor, she was applied to the Fin and Min section. She headed that section up. Trevor Park, one of the area supervisors, he headed up logistics around setting up our interim accommodations. Doug Gilmore, who's park superintendent, he agreed to head up the logistics section that dealt with salvage at the burned out building, and that was file recovery and all the kinds of things that went along with that. Dave Anderson, he agreed to be our information officer, and that was really important at the initial steps, dealing with the media, dealing with community inquiries, so he was really helpful at the outset. Barb Larkin headed up our planning section. She was the IM supervisor at the time, and so she maintained all of the records and actually handled the IT setup, which was a huge piece to get us back up and running. Roy Sitters, he had a kind of a unique job. He was an area supervisor at the time. We applied him to operations, which was really everything else that needed to be done. He kept things moving, kept service delivery happening. Of course, Jeff Gaudry was an important part of the team, and they provided huge amounts of support. So the morning after the fire, we all met out at the fire center with the fire chief, and he debriefed us and told us what went on, what we can expect inside the building. We still had some issues with some important things, some firearms, there were some chemicals in the building, still some personal items that needed to be recovered.
Purses, car keys, eyeglasses and a number of different things that were quite critical to have for these folks.
Everyone in the community was wondering what's going on, and without any information, rumors were running rampant.
We went and met with the mayor and city councilors because already there were rumors that this fire was going to give M&R the excuse to leave town, and they needed to be reassured that M&R had lots of business to do in the Red Lake area, and that there was a future there for M&R in Red Lake, and just to assure City Council that we were there for the long run.
And we discussed what our options would be, and we did tell the M&R, the district manager, that we would help them in any way possible, find them all the space they could, and after that day we went around looking at other available spaces where they could move into as fast as possible.
ORC's role in any emergency situation is for the preservation of the asset and to act as a resource to the lead ministry at the building.
We looked at a number of sites. ORC and ourselves, we went around to review these, talk to landlords, talk to the owners of this property.
After careful review, it turned out that the Red Lake Forestry Point site, which is a government-owned site, would support the use of trailers to house the M&R staff.
Also, the morning after the fire, somebody came to me and said, geez, we have a COOP call. You can imagine our heads were spinning. We were scrambling, trying to figure out what it was we had to do, but I didn't even know what a COOP was at the time.
One of the first steps was the district getting in touch with the COOP folks and making that connection.
So initially I was a little skeptical. What can they do for us? We've got the issue right here in town. We need to deal with it. But over time it turned out to be an excellent way of connecting with the people that needed to help us.
Very beneficial in terms of the contacts up the line, making sure everyone was aware of what was going on and the things that needed to be done, and getting in contact with the right folks who might be with ORC or other parts of government, or the other ministries that also occupied the building, and making sure everyone was connected as we move forward here together.
One of the things we learned at our first COOP meeting were that there was a list of critical services that M&R needed to provide. First one was emergency management, emergency response. We had the capability right off the bat. We were in the fire center, all the staff were accounted for, and our team was in place. So we were ready to go right off the bat on that. So I think we overachieved in terms of what the minimum standards for service delivery are after an event like this.
It was interesting, the timing of when this fire happened with respect to our own LRC business continuity planning. We had just went through a revision of ours, and it was timely that we just pulled out our recovery plan, which already identified the teams that we would need in the event of a disaster. And that's how we formed our continuity team from the IT perspective.
So Lands and Resources Cluster sent out Kevin Roberts, who was our savior. They had to set up each of these trailers. It was incredible the amount of work that they did in the short period of time. I can't speak highly enough of Kevin and his crew for their whole attitude, their accommodation of us, and getting things done in like record time.
One of the things that we learned was that communications was hugely important when you have an incident like this. So we started, even the day right after the incident, we had a full-blown staff meeting, everybody that could attend, and explain what the plan was for the interim accommodation, how long we expected to be out of the building, and so on. And we had those meetings probably, every 2 or 3 days initially. So that was hugely important.
We have changed a lot of the ways we do business in this building. We have a policy that there are certain papers that are very important.
I think there's some very simple things that you can do to protect files from an event like that happening. Clean desk policy, just closing doors on file cabinets and so on, taking care of things at the end of the day and securing them, I think will go a long way to protecting some of our valuable information.
After hearing the stories and the lessons from Red Lake, I think about, where's my wallet, where are my keys, what's on my desk, what should I put away, what should I take with me, where is everybody, is everyone safe?
Rehearse those business continuity plans, make sure you have evacuation plans in place in your building, and those plans are practiced on a regular basis.
Well, I think the fact that Graham and others are out sharing the experience with others is the best thing they can do, because it is a great wake-up call for others that this could actually happen in your office, and you need to be ready.